Rome did not fear slaves. Rome counted them, bought them, sold them, worked them in fields, buried them in mines, threw them into arenas and called it entertainment. To Rome, a slave was not a man with a future. He was property with a pulse. Then one slave picked up a kitchen knife. His name was Spartacus. He was supposed to die for a crowd. Instead, he escaped. He climbed a mountain. He gathered the broken, the beaten, and the forgotten. And soon, Roman commanders who had laughed at runaway slaves were sending terrified messages back to the Senate. Because this was no longer an escape. It was an army. And for a brief, burning moment, the people Rome chained made Rome afraid. For more dark cinematic history, subscribe to Ashes of Time. Empires burn, stories remain. Spartacus did not begin as a symbol. He began as a man whose early life is partly hidden by Roman writers who cared more about his rebellion than his childhood. Most ancient sources connect him to Thrace, a rugged region north of Greece, known for warriors, horsemen, and hard frontiers. Some accounts suggest he once served with Roman forces before being enslaved. History is not certain. What is clear is that Rome took him and turned him into a gladiator. At Capua, in the school of Lentulus Batiatus, men were trained like expensive animals. They learned how to kill beautifully. They ate under guard, slept under threat, practiced for the pleasure of strangers. Every sword stroke had one purpose, not freedom, performance. Rome wanted Spartacus to become a weapon in the arena. It did not understand that a weapon can change hands. In 73 BCE, the plan was discovered. About 200 gladiators had wanted to escape. Only a smaller group got out, perhaps around 70. They did not have an army. They did not have proper weapons. They seized what they could, including kitchen tools and knives. Then they ran. Soon they found wagons carrying gladiatorial weapons. The irony was almost cruel. Rome had built the tools meant to entertain itself with their deaths. Now those tools were in the hands of men who wanted to live. Spartacus and the fugitives fled toward Mount Vesuvius. Not the famous volcano buried in later legend, but a wild mountain where escaped slaves could hide above Roman roads. At first, Rome did not see a revolution. It saw a problem to be cleaned up. That mistake would cost blood. Rome sent forces under Gaius Claudius Glaber. He did not treat the fugitives like a serious enemy. He trapped them on Vesuvius, blocking the main path down, and expecting hunger to finish what Roman steel did not. To Glaber, the mountain was a cage. The Romans waited below, certain that desperate men would break before disciplined soldiers. They did not watch the cliffs closely enough. To Spartacus, it became a ladder. Ancient sources say the rebels made ropes from wild vines and climbed down the cliffs where the Romans did not expect them. Then they came around behind the Roman camp. By morning, the hunters had become the hunted. The camp that had looked like a trap became a target. The rebels attacked. Glaber's force was defeated. The story spread through southern Italy like fire through dry grass. Runaway slaves had not only escaped, they had humiliated a Roman commander. And humiliation was something Rome rarely forgave. After Vesuvius, Spartacus was no longer leading only gladiators. Slaves from farms joined him. Herdsmen joined him. Poor laborers, fugitives, and people with nothing to lose came out of the countryside. Many were not trained soldiers. Some carried farm tools. Some had stolen weapons. Some carried only rage. But rage alone does not defeat Rome. Spartacus had to turn fear into discipline. He and other leaders, including Crixus and Oenomaus, began shaping the rebels into a moving force. They raided for supplies, avoided traps, struck where Rome was careless. Every victory made the army larger. Every rumor made masters sleep less easily. Rome had always believed fear moved downward, from owner to slave, from citizen to captive, from empire to the people beneath it. Spartacus reversed the direction. Now fear climbed upward. Spartacus appears to have wanted to move north. If the rebels could cross the Alps, many might escape Roman power and return to their homelands. But an army of the enslaved was not a simple thing. It was made of different peoples, different wounds, and different hopes. Some wanted escape. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted plunder because plunder was the first wealth they had ever touched. Crixus, one of the major rebel leaders, separated with a large group. Roman forces destroyed his detachment. Ancient writers give different numbers and details, but the loss was real. Spartacus mourned in the only language Rome understood. Some sources say he forced captured Romans to fight funeral games for Crixus. If true, the message was savage. Rome had made men die for spectacle. Now Rome was tasting its own theater. The rebellion should have ended quickly. Instead, it grew. Roman forces sent against Spartacus failed again and again. Consular armies were beaten. The Senate could no longer pretend this was only a slave disturbance. This was a wound moving through Italy. For slave owners, the terror was not just military, it was psychological. Every field had eyes. Every estate had locked doors. Every chained worker carried the question that Rome feared most. What if they all rise? That question was more terrifying than a sword. A sword could be blocked. A battle could be won. But an idea moving from field to field, from kitchen to stable, from mine to villa, could not be chained as easily. Spartacus did not need to march on Rome to terrify it. His existence was enough. He proved that the people Rome treated as tools could learn, organize, choose leaders, and defeat Roman citizens in open war. That was more dangerous than any single battle. It attacked the lie beneath the empire. Then Rome gave command to Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus was rich, ambitious, and ruthless. He understood that Rome did not only need victory, it needed terror restored. Against Spartacus, Crassus brought more than soldiers. He brought the cold patience of a man who wanted Rome to remember his name. When part of his army failed, Crassus revived the punishment of decimation. 1 in every 10 men from selected units was killed by his own comrades. It was not only discipline, it was a message. Fear would return to the Roman ranks before Rome tried to put fear back into the slaves. The Roman camp learned the lesson before the rebels did. Crassus pushed Spartacus south toward the toe of Italy. There, Spartacus tried to cross to Sicily, perhaps hoping to ignite another slave revolt on the island. Pirates were supposed to help him. They took payment and vanished. Spartacus was trapped between Roman pressure, the sea, and betrayal. Crassus built a massive ditch and wall across the narrow land, trying to seal the rebels in. Rome was turning Italy itself into a prison. Spartacus broke through. But the army was bleeding strength. Hunger, disagreement, exhaustion, and Roman pressure were doing what one commander could not. The rebels moved north again, but the trap was closing. Pompey was returning from Spain. Lucullus was coming from the east. Crassus wanted the glory before others could share it. Spartacus knew the final battle was coming. Ancient writers later shaped the last moments into legend. Some claimed Spartacus killed his horse before battle, saying he would have Roman horses if he won, and no need of one if he lost. Whether the detail is true or not, it fits the man Rome remembered. He did not plan to be paraded in chains. He would either cut his way through history or die inside it. The final clash came in 71 BCE. The rebel army fought hard, but Rome had numbers, discipline, and time. Spartacus had men who had already chosen danger over chains. That made them dangerous, but it did not make them invincible. The dream began to collapse. Spartacus is said to have fought toward Crassus himself. He wanted the commander. Not a nameless death. Not a quiet end beneath Roman boots. He wanted the center of Roman power in that field. He never reached him. The rebels were destroyed. Spartacus died, but his body was never clearly identified. That detail matters. Rome could crucify survivors along the Appian Way. Rome could make the road from Capua to Rome into a warning. Rome could leave thousands of bodies where travelers would see what rebellion cost. But it could not display Spartacus as a trophy. It could not point to one corpse and say, "Here is the slave who frightened us." The man vanished into the very legend Rome wanted to control. And sometimes, not finding a body makes a story harder to bury. Spartacus did not destroy Rome. He did not free every slave. He did not build a new kingdom. In the end, Rome survived him. But survival is not the same as innocence. For nearly 2 years, an enslaved gladiator forced Rome to expose what held its world together. Not only laws, not only legions, chains, fear, spectacle. Human beings turned into property. That is why Spartacus still burns in memory, because he was not supposed to matter. He was supposed to die for applause. Instead, he made the masters listen for footsteps in the dark. That is the power of his story. Not that he won, but that Rome, for all its roads, legions, laws, and cruelty, had to stop and answer him. Rome killed the rebellion, but it never erased the question Spartacus left behind. What happens when the people at the bottom stop kneeling?